Coach, what did you learn about your side after facing Chipa United going into this fixture against Golden Arrows? Thank you.
Good morning to members of the media. Thank you so much for availing yourself so early in the morning. Look, it just went to confirm exactly what we thought we knew already. Going into the season already, we before the Chiefs match, we anticipated that it would take us 5, maybe even 6 games before we hit top gear. Of course, the performances have been a glaring demonstration that we were quite correct. But we were correct because we are trying to work in a very systematic way to be a bit more scientific with regards to how we go about the season, because our form guide informed us last season that after a very good start to the season, there was a huge dip in form towards and a bit earlier than we had anticipated towards the end of the season, and in trying to rectify that, to have a little bit more longevity, to try to find a little bit more consistency, we altered a little bit how we worked and how we prepared the preseason, and also it's quite relative because we are informed a lot by health and medical issues, So it's been a tricky preseason, but a preseason that we wanted to progressively load our players, to work in a way that will allow us to probably still maintain an element of freshness even late in the season, and hopefully by then we're able to maintain performances, maintain the football actions in relation to the quality, the frequency, and the rest in between. And we are trying to build that, and we don't want to put the cart before the horse. We want to make sure that we've got a very good base so that we can build upon with our performances. And so far, we are happy with the progress. Are we happy with the performances? No, but were we expecting to be where we are? Yes, 100%. And if you look, Kaizer Chiefs 35 minutes, and then you go to Amazulu, maybe a very good 45 minutes. And yesterday, on Tuesday, we had a situation where we could maintain football actions, particularly in the second half, and be a little bit more explosive. But the signs are there that we are on the right track, and we need to be a bit more patient.
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry about the short delay there. Can I ask, sir, how easy is it to plan against a team like Golden Arrows, who seem to have perhaps a little less structure or perhaps a bit more difficult to read than other teams in the league? And if I may ask a supplementary question, how is Mudau's hamstring after what happened on Tuesday, and Lebusa and Zwane's chances of playing at the weekend?
Thanks, Mark. I love football questions. How do we prepare for Golden Arrows? Well, it's not easy. Traditionally, Arrows have had a very distinctive way of playing, a very Arrows way of playing, and I think it's synonymous with how they are known as Abafana Westend. They play with a bit more exuberance. They play a little bit off the cuff. And even when they try to have some form of organizational forms, they still try to maintain a little bit the flair and the expressive abilities of their players. And sometimes that's where the difficulty is. The difficulty comes in trying to pre-plan for instinctive football actions, and that becomes very difficult. They've got a very good team. They've got a very good coach. With a good assistant in Mabuti, very knowledgeable, very, very hardworking, very, very hungry for success and to be for information, and wants to be a top coach all the time. And but yeah, it's a team that still tries to maintain the 4-2-3-1 sort of structure. It's a team that will always give you problems, whether they have Gumede up front or whether they have Knox Mutizwe. And we've seen so many times that sometimes it's Knox starts and then Gumede comes on, or Gumede starts and then Knox comes on. But as you saw against SuperSport, Gumede started and he gives you a different dynamic, although possibly Knox is probably just as strong with regards to providing the team with a focal point and depth on the other side of the pitch with his speed and his ability to get beyond the defensive line. Of course, I think in that three that comes behind, they've got a lot of options. Sibia, Bule, Modi, top performance against SuperSport. In fact, very aggressive in one-on-ones, is ambidextrous, uses the left foot, the right foot, so it becomes very difficult. And then that gives you information on how to deal with him. But the spine with Zuke sitting as a deep line playmaker and Undwande also playing as an 8, slightly closer to him, and they can change the shape in the midfield with two double or a double pivot and a 10 or 2 8s and a 6. And you saw against SuperSport in the second half, a lot of the structure was a double pivot structure to be a bit more offensive, and they release 6-7 players to join the attack. So, and then they've got Matiane with his leadership, they've got Sibisi with his leadership, their ability to play from the back and to start build-ups. How they construct their attacks this season has been a little bit more of variation. They've got the possibilities of the long ball. They've got the possibility of the pass to the fullback. And they've also got the possibility of trying to play through Uzuke to find the 8s. And sometimes in the first half against SuperSport, we saw that pattern. And then in the second half, it was a bit more vertical and direct, but very good side. And with a lot of energy, they counter press very well. And their fullbacks are very important. They average about 18 crosses into the box, and something that, and I'm talking current numbers, they're averaging about 18 crosses into the box. So it's a team where we know what to expect, but controlling that is the most difficult thing in football. With regards to the injuries, Mark, we had a rest day yesterday. We traveled from PE and we arrived, and the players that needed medical attention received medical attention. The players that had remained behind, unfortunately, like Tembazwane, Musa Lebusa, we still, as of yet, have not received any information with regards to their readiness, but we will see. We've got a training session today. They will be assessed by our medical department, and then maybe closer towards the match, we would be able to give you a more concrete. I try always to be honest, so unfortunately I can't give you an honest answer at the moment.
Thanks, Fatu. Morning, Coach. I wanted to ask about your two new strikers, Safranco and Kutumela. Obviously, we've seen Safranco, not necessarily a typical sort of Mamelodi Sundowns forward, if I can put it that way. What have you made of him so far? And Tabiso, I think the only appearance he made was against Chiefs off the bench. We haven't seen him since, if I'm not mistaken. What's the latest with regards to his progress since he arrived at Sundowns?
Thanks, Mazola. Safranco, we know what he offers us. We knew going into the market because the recruitment process at Mamelodi Sundowns is quite extensive. We not only work in relation to footage, and we have different pairs of eyes to be able to analyze. So we've got our scouting department with Ezrom and Terra, and then we've got the rest of the technical team, and we've got enough manpower in that department to be able to analyze and assess. And this allows us to delve deeper into the strengths and the weaknesses of individual players, and then we try to use data. Rulani has come into that space to assist us. He was at Ajax Cape Town, and now is part of this very progressive but extensive also process of recruiting players, where towards the end of the season, we are looking at the profile of our team and where we are in relation to the numbers. And in relation to the numbers, we then try to identify glaring weaknesses that we feel we can improve with recruitment, because teams can improve in two ways. You can improve the team on the pitch by working and training every single day. That's the way we know how as coaches. That's the way we try to live our lives. We come sometimes with puffy eyes to press conferences, drinking coffee, because that's the life that we live. It's about sacrifice, it's about commitment, and it's about making sure that we invest, because part to sport is the clear understanding that there is a clear process between, or appreciation between effort and reward, and the more you put in, the more chances you give yourselves of succeeding. So we are in that space where we know we can still improve the team, improve the new players, but having done our analysis, we knew that we needed a little bit more than just a mobile striker. We needed someone who could be a focal point, someone who could assist us against teams that sit a little bit deeper. And you could see against Chippa United when he came on, and he was up front with Kemet, and we changed into a 4-4-2, a hybrid 4-4-2, because on the one side we had Ivino Villa coming in, and prior to that we had Hashim. But the quality that Pavol gives us is not only the ability to link up play in and around the box. He holds it up well. He's very comfortable with his back towards goal, and he's very good and deadly inside the box, you know. But the reality is, as much as the team at this moment, and of course the same with Kutumela, because Kutu is a player that I fortunately know very, very well. I've got very good relations with. I think in a way, Kutumela doesn't need too much adaptation, apart from maybe working to compete for a place in the team. But as compared to Pavol needs a lot more adaptation time. He's come already with his wife. They're settling down to a new environment. And they have to get used to the food, the climate. We've had very strange climate in South Africa of late, but this is what he has to get acclimatized to, the style of play, the style of training. And fortunately, he said to me the other day, he says, "Coach, the way you guys work is very close to a European way. So there's not too much that is foreign to me." And that's good to see. But the reality is we need to be patient with him. I always make the analogy and say, if you and I, Mazola, have 2 newborn babies, but I decide to feed mine more than you feed yours, double the amount of purity, double the amount of milk, the reality is they'll still grow at the same rate. Mine won't grow 2 days extra when yours grows 1 day. And that is how Mother Nature works. And football being a sport that is predominantly extremely traditional, with deep-rooted values, is still a sport that adheres to process rather than instant gratification. But unfortunately, we live in a society where we want instantly things, and fourth grade revolution is about to enter, and you know what it is about. It's about how do I quickly get my endorphins released, and sometimes it's through a tweet, sometimes it's through a comment, and sometimes it's through independent thinking, but we as technicians have got to still stay true to the process and try to make sure that what we do try to build is something that is sustainable. And we've seen even in my previous club where we worked in a certain way and people were not very, very happy with the results initially. But when we pleaded for time and patience, because we knew what we were trying to build, and we knew that it was a tree that we wanted to plant, that we knew sometime maybe the reality is we would not be able to stand underneath and enjoy the shade. And people became impatient. But a couple of months later, when things plummeted, everybody was saying, maybe with a bit more patience, things could have been a little bit different. But that's the reality of sport and football. And we move and we try to work in this way consistently, because in big clubs, that is the right way to do things, not fast track processes. In big clubs, a certain way of playing is important, and a certain way of playing that will give you success and results. And not only that, in relation to accidental success, but the results and success that you can sustain in the future, and the team can stay as a big team and have the profile of a big team, not just with regards to success and results, but also with regards to style of play. And big clubs, Barcelona, Ajax, in their own countries, are very pedantic about what type of product they deliver to their people.
Good morning, Coach, and to colleagues. Coach,
Morning,
I just want to check something here with you, Coach. During the off-season, there was speculation, linking Coach Steve with a move to Pirates. Obviously, it didn't happen. The reason I'm asking is I want to check if those speculations did have an impact in your planning, because that was a critical stage of what you guys do, bringing players in and releasing the others. Did it have an impact on how you guys work, or you treat it as business as usual?
No, business as usual. We don't respond to speculations. We don't live in a space where we allow speculations to derail us from where we are trying to go. We're extremely ambitious. This season, we are extremely hungry. We want to be the best, and we want to work hard for that, and not to be deviated or sidetracked by minute issues and speculations. And we want to focus on trying to make sure that we do the best that we can, not just for this club and the president, the chairman, and everybody associated with it that works and gives incredible hours to see this club succeed, but also to our fans, because really in this moment where as a country we are just going through a very difficult time, as a people we are going through a very difficult time. We have to stay focused and keep our eyes on the prize, and that's that. No distractions, just focus and hard work, and that's the story. Focus and hard work for the season.
Thanks, Fatu. Morning, Coach. I wanted to check, Coach, just to expand a little bit on Safranco, more particularly from a squad balance point of view, in terms of managing, the rotation process, but also giving him enough time to try and adapt, enough game time to try and adapt to South African football and the way that you guys play. How important is that balance? How do you see him, sort of being rotated between some of the front guys and himself, but also giving him enough time to settle? But also just checking whether the desperation levels are up at Mamelodi Sundowns to win this MTN8 campaign, given the unsatisfactory sort of history of Mamelodi Sundowns in this competition. Thank you.
Thanks, Pila. Desperation, no. Funny, I was listening to the radio this morning, me and my music, and I was listening. I heard the song "Desperado" but no. we are not desperate. We are people of process. We are people of we are serious people that are really focused this season, extremely motivated, and ours is on the prize. We have a responsibility to make sure that we prepare as well as we can for every single match, to give ourselves the best possibility to win every single match. That's the mandate, that's the goal, that's the focus. It was a league match against Chippa United. We went there to try to win. We were disappointed we didn't win the game. You could when you walked into the change room, you could possibly hear a pin drop, and that's how somber the mood was. But that is good. And that's the mood in champions. When champions don't win football matches, there's no consolation. It's win or nothing, and that's the mentality that we carry at Sundowns. I read an interview by Rivaldo Coetzee, and the standout line was, "We are a bunch of winners." But that responsibility to continue and sustain winning and success means you need to know how you've achieved it, and to win and to know how you achieved it means you need to have a plan. There needs to be a strategy. There needs to be a certain way that you decide that this is the idea and this is the idea we want to follow. And the idea is the starting point, the game model, the way, the feelings for the game that we want to give when we perform on the pitch are feelings that must be synonymous with the club and what the club's about, and of course then you add the talent that we try to make sure that we have the best talent in the country. And you top that up with hard work and perseverance, and that's the only way we know how, is to work and work and work and work. So in a moment where we know we have to improve and we have to be patient, the reality is the style of play is something that is where we tried to work last season. And from that, as I said, we moved into a way of reviewing and saying, what do we need to take our team to the next level? And the profile of a Safranco, stronger in the air, better at holding up the play, allowing us to play in and around the box. Something different to what we had. We had an Afonso, but we could hardly ever get Afonso on the pitch, and we felt we still needed something like that, particularly for African Champions League. And Kutumela the same, Kutumela, top player, very, very good qualities and an instinctive feel to position himself in between the lines. As a number 10, I think that's his best position. Kutumela with us at Pirates played as a 10, and I've always felt that his game intelligence, his ability to arrive in the right places at the right time, to influence the play and with the right body position and still with his low center of gravity, manipulate space and time in tight areas and playing for a big club. Those are the type of players that you need. And we didn't really have a 10. We had wingers that converged into 10 positions, but we didn't really have someone to come in and assist us in that space. So Kutumela, Safranco are players that will allow us to improve the team. But again, they need time. They need time to adapt to a style of play, and maybe not so much Kutumela, but Neo Maema was playing at Bloemfontein Celtics, playing in a 3-5-2, sometimes playing as a wing back on the left, sometimes playing as an 8, and sometimes even playing as a second striker, So, and now he's got a different role in a different formation, in a different way of playing that requires a little bit more patience and ball manipulation in between the lines, and also the pressure and the demands to perform and fight for your place in the team. That also is something that he's foreign to, and Celtics, you go to a match, you get a draw, you're okay. You lose against some of the big teams, you're okay. But at Sundowns, you've got to help the team to win as an offensive player. You've got the responsibility to influence the result, and And this is primarily one of the reasons why we sent a player like Keletso out on loan to feel the pressure of carrying a team and influencing results, because as offensive players, that's what is so important at Sundowns. And we are happy with the work that we've done in the window, but as we've said, a lot of these players still need a lot of coaching. They still need a lot of support in adapting and acclimatizing to their new environment. But also at the same time, we know that we still have to continue to win.
Good morning, Coach. I hope you're well. Coach, I just wanted to find out on Andile Jali, Coach. He hasn't really played this season, no minutes under his belt, but I see that he's been part of the 18 or 23. And just taking you back to last season towards the end, I mean, he was a very, very key figure in the team, taking you back to the game up against TP Mazembe, who was responsible for starting those triangles. He's also a player of personality as well as strong character. Any particular reason why he hasn't started a game this season for the club? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Karabo. The transformation of Andile Jali is incredible. Upon my arrival from the second stint, I could feel that Andile Jali was a bit more disconnected from the group, slightly overweight, and maybe missing the passion for the game. But I must tell you, his level of commitment, his training, his relentless focus to try to improve his physical condition, and you can already see huge improvements with regards to that. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about AJ is how honest he is, and his honesty sometimes is one of the reasons why there's misconceptions that he's arrogant, but the reality is Andile's got a lot of confidence and he's extremely honest. And some of the discussions that we have with him are discussions that the feedback is always the best feedback because it comes from the heart, and his level of game intelligence and his passion for the game is second to none. In the bus, if we play at 5 and there are games that started at 1 o'clock in the English Premier League, in the Bundesliga, Andile Jali is one of the few players that sits in the bus watching these games, watching top players in Europe, watching football. You call Andile Jali on a Sunday, and you're watching Barcelona, for an example, and you try to find whether or not Andile is watching the game. Andile watches football, his passion for the game. And in this moment, the only thing that is keeping him out of the pitch is the laws of the game that says we can only field 11. If we could, we could field all 30 players, because we love all of them, and all the players at Mamelodi Sundowns are special. And sometimes I would love us to focus on saying, wow, of course, not finished products, of course, a clear identification with regards to exposing the deficiencies we have in relation to the development processes in our country. But we see huge and significant improvements in players like Mtobi Mvala, for an example, his ability to receive the ball with the back foot and still look up, his ability to still be comfortable in and around the penalty area, in tight areas. I mean, the assist for Mshishi from Mtobi last season, you probably wouldn't find that pass, but this season you found that pass. His build-up play has improved, his ability to scan before initiating participation in the build-up and the work that is done. Hashim Domingo looks a different player. His tenacity, his work ethic, but even his confidence is on the up. So in this moment, we know we've got a quality group of players, and if we could, we would field all of them. But the reality is we've got to try to find the right balance, and sometimes to try and find the right balance between our expectations and our schemes in open play, and then the expectations and the schemes in rest defense and on transition to influence certain elements. And also on set pieces, and we've got to make sure, and we are very, very detailed in our preparation and our work, and we've got to just make sure that we try to find the right balance. But if people want to hear negative things about AJ, this is not the right platform, because there's nothing, you know. If anything, all of the talks about the fallout, whatever it is, it may be, those are unfounded and misconstrued.